Hockey, yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
That's right. Second show today, because the first show that we did post-game last night after a very difficult, hard-to-swallow Wild loss in overtime to the Vegas Golden Knights went until about 2 in the morning or so, and so we are back again, but we're at full strength this time. Judd, Jessi, Pierce, Bardown, Beauties, of course, also covers the Wild for NHL.com. AJ at the controls and co-hosting as always. So we did a lengthy post-game last night, Jess. Talked to a bunch of people who were very upset, rightfully so. So let's just rip the Band-Aid off. I want to get your thoughts on what should have been a victory. It would have been a really nice win. Hartman scores a goal late. I don't think the Golden Knights would have got the equalizer. I'm going to assume that at least. And Gus Nyquist, who we've been begging to be benched for weeks, if not a month now, is offside. So he not only cost him a second-round pick, he potentially cost him a playoff game and a playoff series. Your thoughts?
Finally, I've been able to articulate it now how many hours later since going to bed, because I'm like, why am I still so angsty about this game? Because again, the Minnesota Wild have played very, very, very good hockey throughout this series, even in their game 1 loss, even in the game 4 loss, which was an unfortunate overtime. Heck, even for the majority of last night, there was a lot of good from your Minnesota Wild, mostly from Philip Gustafsson through those first 2 periods. And I would say in that third period in particular, Minnesota played like themselves, right? So it was their worst game in the series, I think, but it still wasn't terrible. So I'm like, why am I so upset? I'm upset for 2 reasons, I think. It felt like such a gut punch. For Ryan Hartman to score that goal and you are feeling good, it gets reviewed once for official review to make sure it wasn't kicked. And you're like, okay, this is good. I mean, Hartsey knew he didn't kick it too. You could see the confidence on his face. And then they did, and I hate this review every single time. Calling for an offsides review on a play is incredibly annoying and frustrating to me because it feels like you're throwing darts at the dartboard to see where it lands, right? Like I feel like coaches sometimes just dip into their pool and be like, hey, we're going to try this and see what works. Yes, Gustav Nyquist, who I also have not been a huge fan of because he hasn't contributed really anything, maybe on the PK once in a while. He's got 2 5-on-5 goals all season, one of those with the Wild, the other one with Nashville back in like October, November, right? Yes, Gustav Nyquist needs to have awareness. Straddle that freaking line. Be aware of where you're skating. That is without question. It's a stupid penalty to take. However, I take extra exception to having that offsides review end up overturning the goal because it had nothing to do with the goal scoring itself. Gustav Nyquist did not touch that puck. Watching it formulate into the play that it did, it had no bearing on whether Ryan Hartman was going to score that goal. So I think I get extra frustrated there. And it frustrates me. It was a stupid penalty to take, or it was a stupid play. Yes, it's against the rules. So I understand that. Is it against the rules? There's offsides for a reason. But I hate it because it had no bearing on the goal itself anyway. And again, if the roles were reversed, I'm sure we'd be thrilled. We'd be exuberant. But right now, I'm just so mad. I'm mad that Nyquist let that happen. I'm mad that Vegas was smart to have it reviewed and was able to get that overturned. And furthermore, yes, you can go in to say, well, Minnesota should have scored on other opportunities. They should have scored in overtime, yes. But that specific situation is so hard to move beyond because Minnesota had played so well. They could have been up 3-2. They could have stolen this game, come back to St. Paul. We could have watched a hockey game without this pressure that we're going to have tomorrow night. And I think mentally, I hope those players are tougher than I am mentally because right now I still can't move on from it. I don't know how they do either.
Can I just say this though? Like I understand the review thing, and we talked about this last night because the offside review can be maddening. But I think all of your angst should be at Gus Nyquist. Yeah. It should, like, you had one job. Because he wasn't part of the play, it makes it even more imperative that he stays out of the play. And I would argue that the linesman should have seen it live because it was a pretty bad offside. And I wonder if he did and thought, okay, it's close enough that I'm going to allow the play to play out. Worst case, they score. And then I'm pretty sure that the Golden Knights are going to decide to review said goal. But AJ, all of my angst is still, like, I'm madder at Nyquist now than when I went to bed because is this not, Jess, you laid this out perfectly. This is how, like, this is a good series from the Wild. This is not one of those, oh, they're choking. Oh, they suck. Oh, they're no good. This is a series in which they should have come home with a lead, and I would argue deserved that. They deserved that. That was a great goal by Hartman in its timing and everything. My anger, AJ, is more at Nyquist now than ever, and sort of by extension, the fact that he's still playing.
I can't get behind the argument of like, oh, well, kind of what you're saying, Jessi, which is he wasn't in the play. It shouldn't impact like the call and shouldn't overturn it. It's offsides. We know what offsides is. He should know what offsides is. And I get it. If he is on the other side, like grinding against the half wall, trying to scoot in, if he's still offsides, guess what? That's still offsides. This is not a judgment call. There's clear lines in 2025. We have camera angles. They can review this. It's offsides. Because if it's the other way around, you know what I'm telling Vegas fans? Hey, you should have had your guys stay on sides. It's that simple.
Agreed.
This is
wasn't the other way
player.
around. It wasn't.
But this is a professional hockey player that you traded a second rounder for, and I'm usually there's a million little instances in a game that impact the play. And I thought that last night. Waking up this morning, I had like bloodthirsty, like I need to just vent. It's so stupid. And like Judd just said, it's not like this is they're down 3-0 and all of a sudden they're salvaging one game to be kind of a respectable battling. Hey, we didn't get swept in the first. They could have had a lead in game 6 to go to the second round. Just stay on. It's so stupid. It's
and we're not even talking about the final goal where we can talk about. I love the defense last night of John Merrill. They play a man-style defense. And so John Merrill coming up in the zone. Okay, go back and watch the winning goal. Zach Bogosian, what are you doing? One, you don't clear it. You try and throw it up the boards. It gets blocked. That's bad enough. The second is watch where the Tanner Pearson pass. And, of course, Pearson then passes out front for the Howden goal. Bogosian was weak on a stick again. He could have broken up the pass that went to Tanner Pearson. And we're not even talking about that. The worst players on the Minnesota Wild were on the ice.
Yeah.
Your worst. And you benched Z Bouillon. You didn't trust him to play in overtime. And I understand that you think that Merrill can play, but defend who you want. Defend John Merrill. Well, then Zach Bogosian screwed the pooch. Like, it's just, I think as far as mistakes went and some of the coaching last night went, I feel bad for the majority of the players. I actually feel bad for the majority of the players. I think the majority of the players deserve better than what they are getting from a very small group of guys. And I don't think in game 5 that John Hines did them any favors.
I think this is reflective of the coaching staff now in the decision making, because now you really have to right the ship. I think there's two things you have to do. One, Nyquist is out, and I don't care about the visual thing about you traded. I was on their side until last night. Now this is because if you stick with him, that tells me, you know what, no matter the price we pay, if we feel like it's too much, this guy has the longest leash in the history of hockey. He could do whatever he wants. That is almost a crucifiable offense that he did last night. Ogren has to be in. And then John Merrill comes in, and on the final play, puck is below the goal line in the corner. Bogosian and Rossi are both there. I would like for one of them to position maybe a smidge better to get into that passing lane, but I get it. Sometimes a puck goes through the wickets. But if those two guys are committing down there, there's no reason in my mind, if you look at like the screenshot of when that pass is made, John Merrill is drifting towards the tops of the circles. That's not where your guy is. Your guy is Howden in front of the net, because you know what? That's the most dangerous pass that they can make. If they clear it along the wall, you have more than enough time to readjust and get in a better position. There's no reason why you should think that Marco Rossi, who has his back to Howden, is like, yep, that's his guy. You need to support. You need to have close collapsing defense supporting the front of the net and not allow a somewhat dangerous guy to be in the most dangerous area completely untouched. That is insane. Now, if we go back home Friday and you see John Hines scratch in, 424, send it. Shouldn't be the case. Z Bouillon has now already been slapped across the face saying, hey, we don't trust you. But now you're telling me you trust. Like, what are we thinking here? It's insane that we are going to potentially, that this is a debate that they might have John Merrill back out there again on Thursday night. I can't even fathom this decision making. It's two very simple decisions that need to be made. I don't know if you guys agree, but I just can't. There's no defending that decision, I think.
Jessi?
I can play devil's advocate here. First of all, there were a number of inept defensive decision making from the Minnesota Wild, namely that shorthanded goal. 3 forwards converging onto one shooter is amateur hour. Like, you do not do that. Come on now. Like, that was, and that's from some of our smartest players. That was the first get. I was like, what are they thinking? Right. And that was the one time I'm not ready to throw John Hines completely under the bus for some of the decisions. Going back to 5 forwards was a choice on the power play, which I think was my first indicator that A, I'm glad he scrapped that as quickly as he put it out there, but B, I think that was his first sign of, you know what, we do need Zeev back here. He did a better job quarterbacking this. So I think that's where you will probably see Zeev. We're catching up with John Hines later this afternoon, so I'm obviously going to ask that. And I have said Bogosian has been a struggle bus the entire time. Everybody was quick to blame Zeev for that, always trying to cover up his mistakes. No, Zach Bogosian has not looked good. Now, again, I hate hindering any losses on a third defensive pairing in general, right? Like, you got to be better everywhere else. So I'm not saying that John Hines was inaccurate, but you're right. His response is going to say a lot. It is going to be very telling as to who's really running the show, who needs to be out there. I agree. I think Liam Ogren should step in. I would see them maybe putting Vinny Hinostroza in for Nyquist if you are, just because for whatever reason they don't love playing the young kids. I think Liam Ogren would be a great fit for this. And also on the other side too, Vegas made their changes. Tanner Pearson, who you brought up, hadn't played in the series yet either. I mean, I think both teams were probably looking to shake things up just a little bit because everything has been so tight. And last night you saw more ice than we've seen all 4 games previously. Yep. That being said, I would put Zeev in. I would like to see Nyquist out and Ogren in. It's not going to happen. It's not. I can't fathom a world where that is something they're actually going to do, because they're going to say, oh, hey, Middleton made a mistake in the overtime goal last time. Do you want us to pull him to, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's just not enough foundational proof in their mind to say Gus Nyquist deserves to be out of this lineup, because there has been enough instances throughout the regular season that they've had him to have not him in the lineup, and he still remains. So I do think Zeev comes in for John Merrill because of the power play implications that he has. I don't know that they make an offensive change there in that situation, which I know it right, wrong, or indifferent. I can't see that being the case.
Wow.
I could live with Nyquist out and Hinostroza in though too. I just need
I think that's
in the
more
press
likely.
box next to Judd.
Yeah.
Nyquist's presence now is such a detriment, because if they don't do something, it's basically giving a pass to a guy that doesn't deserve it. And I lose respect for people then. Like, he has been, it was one thing for him to be a non-contributing slug. It's another for him to have graduated to, you are a minus. And by the way, this was not like a penalty he took where it's like, well, was that a hook? Or they didn't call that hook until they called it on Gus. This was literally a play where, you know, going to Pee Wee's, you work on staying on side. Like, it's considered selfish when you don't, because you're an idiot. And he did something. All he had to do was watch Hartman. All he had to do. And I don't know what he thought he was going. I mean, the dude doesn't really score. So did he think he was going to get in the zone and score a goal? Like, it makes no sense. But we do on our Wolves shows, Viking shows, a pie chart of blame. Okay. And we ordinarily assign slices as percentages, but let's just go through like last night. Okay. Some of like the pie chart of blame. Nyquist, clearly, I mean, just stupidity. That's one. But, you know, here's where John Hines, like, if you take everything we talked about thus far, and okay, you didn't listen about Nyquist, that's also a Bill Guerin thing probably. So I'm not going to say, oh, you know, you screwed the pooch there. I mean, Gus Nyquist, you're a professional. You've been in the league for like 14 years. But Jessi, let's go to this. You know, we've been talking about this for 2 weeks since they debuted it. 5 forwards on the power play in the playoffs is death. It's death. And as I pointed out last night too, and this was not like breaking news, the PK on the goal that they scored was Wild Bill Karlsson and Jack Eichel. You see that, and if you watched until the Wild actually got a defenseman on the power play on the point, Vegas was, at times it drove me crazy from their perspective, Jessi, but Vegas was purposely not clearing the puck to try to break out with the puck. Mm-hmm. So like they were looking at like Boldy, and they were looking at the guys who were back. And I agree with you. The play around the goal was awful. But I've also said their forwards So if they get attacked by Jack Eichel and William Karlsson, is that their fault? Like, they're not brought up to do this. I think John Hines, I think there's a lot of little things last night, including the fact that Gaudreau, who is playing like a fourth line guy right now, continues to play above Rossi. And Rossi was on for the goal against, so I'm not absolving him either. But he gives you a better, you started a line, or you had a third line last night, Jess, with Nyquist, Gaudreau, and Foligno. That meant you put a guy who's playing great, and by the way, had good chances again last night, right? Marcus Foligno had about 2 or 3 great chances. Great series. I love how he's playing. You put him with a guy who's a fourth line center right now and a cone. Like an orange cone. What are we doing? John Hines, what are we doing?
But I like what Marco Rossi and Yakov Trenin and Brazeau have done together a little bit. I get it sounds ugly as I say it even, and I understand, oh, Marco Rossi doesn't deserve that. But Trenin, the way he's forechecking, this is me being nice to Yakov Trenin, mark it down, keep the receipt.
I want you to be nice to him.
His forechecking has been incredible. And Brazeau similarly, right? Which has allowed Marco those pucks to come out and for him to do his thing. So I think that's where you're probably not going to see a change there. But I think Freddie would also be capable of doing that.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
And
I
can
think
you
that's
imagine-
probably fair.
And can
And
you
Freddie
imagine how Foligno's playing right now with Marco, who can make plays for him? Like this is not, I'm not talking about Scotty Bowman type stuff here. I'm not Al Arbor. I'm telling you, like, this is common sense stuff. And I do think, I agree with you. I think the fourth line wings have done a nice job checking and forechecking, but I think Gaudreau would be a perfect fit right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that much to be the trailer, I think, on that. Like, I just the play in the ceiling that Marco offers, paired with the form that you're seeing from Marcus Foligno, that's going to elevate him. I think that's going to elevate both players, honestly. Freddie Gaudreau, given what he has displayed so far in this series, I think the defensive lack thereof, I guess, kind of makes up for with the two wingers, because they're going to get in on the forechecking. And then his whole thing is, he gets the puck. He's Freddie phone booth, make a move and then put it on net. It can't be that hard to be the third guy in the C forward at that time. Get the pass when they kick it out after the forecheck, and then, you get a shot. And the thing is, there is no pressure there because you're now on the fourth line. If you miss a chance, or if you just throw one off the pad of Aiden Hill, okay, you know what? That's a chance. You go off, you get your water, you're back out there in about 4 minutes because Kirill's double shifting at this point in the third period. There's no expectations. Marco Rossi is going to elevate that play on that line so much more than I think what you're getting with Freddie Gaudreau right now.
Mm-hmm.
And why not now? Again, do or die, backs against the wall, I guess. Like it's,
and that's where the decisions from John Hines, I think, are super telling.
Yeah. No. And I mean, coaches love their guys and their veterans, and I get that. But I mean, I do think that we've gotten to a point where it's just so obvious. And to his credit, Bruce Cassidy is making some changes. He's putting guys in. He's juggling lines. He's separating guys. I mean, going into the third period, Jessi, last night, I tweeted that I would actually put Kaprizov and Zuccarello, and Age and I talked about this a couple days ago, back together, because it felt like, and Boldy scored that great goal, and it just felt like the chemistry between those two had waned a little bit, which is fine. Like, that happens all the time. Zuccarello and Kaprizov on the power play goal had the beautiful connection. So anyway, I feel like, I don't think it's too much to ask for John Hines to make some changes now. So what is your opinion of Game 6 now? Like, how do you think they come back from this? Do we think Gus is okay? He got sick again. He's gotten sick in a few. It's very odd to me. But anyway,
odd. Yeah.
The Four Nations, he came out too because he was sick, and then last night for the third period he was sick. I mean, forgive me for being a little bit non-trusting of hockey people, but I'd like to know exactly what's going on here.
Yeah.
But what's your expectation?
Because I didn't see anything post game, right? Like I didn't miss anything. They didn't talk about it, or there was no.
I haven't
real
watched all the
announcement.
post game stuff yet. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
So again, that's a top question I'll have for Hines coming in this afternoon. Again, I think it's a mental situation for them. Physically, they have been playing great hockey, right? And I'm sure they're dog tired, which that's the playoffs, baby, and the way that they're playing. Again, that heavy physical game. but they have to mentally be able to erase it. Like I said, as a fan, I can't right now. It's still hard. It's still weighing so heavy in the back of my mind. And yes, you could point to, oh, regular season, they've had to do that. They've had to be mentally tough. They've had to dig deep. They've had to bear down. Yes, but it hasn't been in this desperate of a situation yet. It hasn't been in the, okay, you win or your season's done. You are on the brink of elimination. So I think that's first and foremost. I think John Hines does do a nice job. That's where I would trust him more than a Dean Evson to pull these guys out of that, make sure that they're approaching it the right way. I thought Brock Faber's quote post-game yesterday saying they haven't beat us yet was very good to have some of that confidence and belief in the room. But because right now, all the good energy, all the swag, all the momentum is in that Vegas locker room. They're not going to be scared to come in here. They're feeling pretty good on themselves, whereas Minnesota, again, it's going to be very hard to mentally push through that. And you're right. I wouldn't mind seeing some line changes. I wouldn't mind seeing Zuccarello and Kaprizov back together. Change it up. If it doesn't work, go back to what worked, but at least throw something new at Vegas to start and give it a go. Because again, you don't have time. You don't have the luxury to be like, oh no, we're fine. Like that. It's desperate hockey right now. But
it's weird because to your point too, this isn't the traditional, it feels like it, but it's not. It's not the traditional Wild sort of first round meltdown. Yeah. Like they played superior to that. These games have been close. They're not the despicable, furious rallies. We're down by 4. Now we're going to be down by 2. Oh, we got down by 2. How about that? Like these games are close. You had that game last night, basically won. So I guess what I'm curious about is, I mean, game 6 is very gettable, and Vegas is not as good as I thought. I still think Aiden Hill, who's made some nice saves in the last 2 games for sure, is less than stable at times. So yes, it's a devastating loss. It's a terrible loss. You should be on the verge of closing out the Golden Knights. But all of that being said too, you've got a lot to lean back on and be like, okay, if we go out and do this, especially if Hines can push some buttons. So like, that's where I don't feel like and this is probably partially on my part, recency bias, but I don't feel like we've been in this predicament a ton with this team where there's actually a lot to feel good about. I feel like it's always chasing the game. Well, you won the game last night. You had one guy cost you. So like, I do think game 6 is a winnable game. And I do think that my disgust for the overall team that I've had in the past is not anything close to the same this time around.
Yeah, it creates a conflict of emotion, right? I think that's why I'm struggling too, because I'm like, I'm not mad at the way that they have played in this series at all. They have shocked even nationally, right? Everybody's like, wow, Minnesota's much better. You even have national people saying Minnesota can't catch a break for a change, right? Because it is. It's like these things just keep happening. And overall, they have played a tremendous series. They put themselves in a far better position than any of us had ever imagined. So there's so much to be excited about, so much to be proud of. But I think that's what makes it hurt. We have to have the worst type of hurt, right? Like, oh, this is a team that should do well. This is a team that could get out of that first round. And nope, we're going to have these small instances, whether it's the offsides, whether it's non-calls going back to game 4 that could have changed the direction of that game, right? Like, this team is good. And I want to reiterate that. I'm not mad at the team as a whole. I'm very proud of the way that they've performed. They've given us a hell of a series. Even just from an offside fan perspective, if you're not a Wild or a Vegas fan, people have enjoyed this series more than most, right? Because it's been exciting hockey. They're finally seeing what Minnesota's made of. I just really want to have that optimism that they can come out. And right now, I think mentally, I'm just not. I'm not there. I'm mentally down on myself. It's my fault, probably somehow.
No,
I fed the kids donuts. I fed the kids donuts yesterday. The only thing I didn't have was Taco Bell. Guess what? I'm gonna have tomorrow afternoon. I'm gonna have to have Taco Bell because that's the only thing that changed my game day routine.
What's your Taco Bell order?
I will never divulge that. That's very private information. How dare you ask me?
You screenshot it.
Sorry,
I've never screenshot
just the bag.
It. Just the bag.
Just the bag.
Nobody knows what's inside that bag. You'll never know.
For all I know, she goes there just to get napkins and then goes home.
It might be. Maybe just hot
number
sauce.
2. It's the number 2. I can feel it in my bones.
What that is.
That's why this feels
either,
just
it sounds good. Sorry.
Jesse's point is exactly right, because that's why this is just so frustrating, because in past years, recent series that they've played, it's like David versus Goliath. It's if they get out of the first round, it's a miracle. And now they're doing the right things. They're playing hockey the right way. And like Jesse said, this roster at the end of the season, we were maybe unsure because of health stuff. We're seeing now this is a good team. You have the goaltending For the most part, you have the defense. Your top forwards have been stepping up. The fact that you look at NHL.com and you look at goals and like points for the first round, and Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov are right there with some of the biggest names in hockey. That speaks a lot to the performance that those guys are having. So the Stars are stepping up. But now it's just like, what can they do? If they can't get out of the first round, and granted, it's not over. Like, I don't understand. I'm talking like this now series is over, but if they can't get out of the first round with this sort of effort and this sort of performances from everybody, and it's a couple things here and there, a missed call, an offsides, whatever, what are they going to do? You got a matchup in the first round that favored you. Granted, I think seeing what Winnipeg's looking like right now with Hellebuck, either one of those probably would have worked out just fine.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating. It's not as much, down and out, blah, blah, blah. But it feels like such a punch in the gut, because what else do they need to do in order to actually have that deep run?
Stay on side.
Yeah, okay.
It's that simple. He cost him the entire game. Like a lot went wrong both ways. It's hockey. I get that. I mean, Kirill Kaprizov made a terrible pass that led to the shorty. Now, I would say that Kirill Kaprizov is entitled to make a bad pass, but I'd play a defenseman back there. Part of what frustrates me is everything that I feel like most people have talked about that this team should do that they don't do has cost them. That's what frustrates me. That's what, like you see things and you're like, here's a positive one. Matt Boldy has played almost the entire series exactly like we've said he should. And he's been marvelous.
Yes.
Why? Because he, like that goal last night, Pietrangelo is no John Merrill. He held him off with one arm, protected the puck.
Effort. God,
yeah,
so
but that's what we said. Like I said this, and we've talked about this months ago, which is Matt Boldy should leave every game feeling like he wants to retire. Like his body should hurt after every single game. And if it does, he's playing like he can play. And he's done that. Bravo. But everything that they've done that we've been like, really? You're going to do that? It's all name me the last twist that John Hines threw into this series where you're like, man, I disagreed with that. And it was a great move. It was the right call. I'm hard pressed. I think
it's worked with the fourth line situation. Like that was one that we were all, it's worked. You don't have to like it, but it's been effective.
Well, because Rossi, but I would argue that Gaudreau now belongs, like by last night, Gaudreau's got to go down. And he won't do it. And it's like, well, Rossi scored a couple goals. Well, Rossi can make plays. I mean, you might as well have put Foligno out there alone last night. Yeah. And that disappoints me because he's playing so well. So I just need more. I need more from a management coaching standpoint. I need that now because I feel like the majority of the players deserve this series. I really do. And what really hurt last night was, and I think the entire state can agree, you put Flower in, right? Like we thought he was done. You had a feeling he'd play, like something would happen. It just does. It's the playoffs. And you put Flower in, and they work their asses off. 3 shots on goal. They're blocking shots. Fabes is throwing his body in front of everything. And it's like, this is how a team works. And it's like, Flower's going to get a win. Like, Flower's going to be in. He's going to get the win. I mean, if nothing else, I felt terrible for him. He's in Vegas. He gets the Fleury chant. Place where he played some great hockey. And you're like, yes, this is, everybody loves the guy. Nobody sits there and says, I don't care about Flower. And you lose that game. And there's only one reason why you lost that game. Very disappointing. I mean, I love the guy. I think it's a great story. And what a story would that have been if he had the win and could have talked about his teammates having played that game in front of him, third period. What a story that would have been. Never should have got to OT. So yeah, just this is not a disappointment or disgust with the team. I don't know. I'm proud of them yet. I guess I need a series win, but I am definitely heartened by what I've seen from most guys. And I don't think they have. I think they've gotten a few guys that are off track, but more importantly, I also don't think they're being given any help through decisions that aren't being preemptively, if that's the right word, made. So. Hey, we'll continue on here. But first, I want to talk to you about a hockey team and a hockey tournament that's not going to drive you crazy. It's the World Junior Championships coming to our fine state for 10 glorious days of hockey starting this coming December 26th at the X and also at 3M. I'm going to tell you right now, Jessi can attest. AJ can as well. The best annual tournament in hockey. It's a who's who of future pros and guys who are first-round picks. It runs December 26th through January 5th, and you can lock in your tickets now. Group play packages on sale now. Just check them out. WorldJuniorsMN26.com. WorldJuniorsMN26.com. Bucket list item. Hasn't been here since 81. Won't come back for probably a long time. So WorldJuniorsMN26.com, the finest hockey that you can see. And it's getting gorgeous outside. I think it's going to be 70 next week. Jessi, if you want to get that golf game in shape, where should you go?
Let's get that golf game in shape. Hopefully the Minnesota Wild aren't quite ready for the golf course yet, but want to make improvements on your golf game. Swing Lab Performance Golf in Lakeville is the spot to be. Swing Lab offers a variety of services from professional lessons, advanced club fitting to excellent repairs and regripping. Swing Lab even has a summer membership, you guys, for just $99 a month that will get you unlimited swings with TrackMan technology and Swing Catalyst video analysis. Replace the range and practice with purpose. Not only is it a place to get better, but they also offer lunch specials, happy hours daily from 3 to 6, ladies' nights on Thursdays. If you're in the South Metro, make sure to check out Swing Lab Performance Golf down in Lakeville.
All right, so let's wrap with this, Jessi. Scale of 1 to 10, what is your confidence the Wild can win this series still? So 2 wins now. Clearly would have to go back to Vegas to win Game 7.
60%. I thought this was always going to be a 7-game series, so I'm confident that they can go in and get Game 6 tomorrow. I have to be, because I'm committed to being right. So it's going to be a 7-game series.
It's just funny. And I know you. You're not BSing. You do.
No, I'm committed to being right. And I think, but that can be such a catalyst for Game 7 then, right? If they win that, all of a sudden we're back to even, and it's going to be a hell of a punch for punch in Game 7. So I'm going to take a book out of page out of John Hines' book, Game by Game. So tomorrow I'm going to say it's a 60% chance they can win, which then leads to a 60% chance that they could win the series, Game 7 in Vegas Saturday.
I think it's like a coin toss in my mind. It's imperative that they come out on Thursday night and they play a full game, because there was times last night where they started, I think, pretty well, but then Vegas definitely in their own building, understandably, seized control of the game and kind of dictated the play. The Wild, you're in your own building, and I know you historically this season have not been very good at home. You have to wipe that out. Like, this is one game you need to leave it all out there, and you have to play full 60 minutes, and you have to look like the team that's in charge the entire time. I understand they're probably going to get some bounces that go their way, but you have to win. And if you do win that game, then you have the momentum. Like, sure, you're going back down to Vegas. They're on home ice, and their pre-game mascot guy has never lost one of those battles. You're going to make him lose a battle this time. Like Game 7, that's where it comes to be. I would say it's a coin toss in my mind. But in terms of forcing a Game 7, I'm with Jessi. I think it's better chances, maybe like a 60, even 70%. I really like their shot on Thursday night.
Yeah, I will say this. If you're John Hines, it shouldn't be too hard to get the team back up, because as tough a loss as that was, you were right there. Like, it'd be different. I think it'd be different if you got your ass kicked. But they clearly did come close. So I guess I would like to know Gus's status. Now I'm going to assume he's fine. I'm very curious about this sickness, because it's happening in just really, really big games. But yeah, I would say 50% to win the series, but I do like their chances tomorrow night, because I think that there was a lot to like. And I do, knock on wood, think they're going to make some necessary changes. Like, I do think you're going to, I just don't know how you can parade 41 out there again and be taken seriously. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's ramifications for guys that screw up. I mean, heck, Hartman's paid prices. He's been demoted. He's been suspended. He's paid prices, and he's playing great right now. So,
could you imagine being on the wrath of Ryan Hartman? Can you imagine how pissed off he is at Nyquist? Like, I could not even and they're a team, and yes, they all bond together, whatever, and mistakes happen throughout the course of a game. So I'm not calling for it. It just, I couldn't look Ryan Hartman in the eye ever again.
Did you guys see this? My favorite clip, and I saw this on Twitter. My favorite clip of the entire playoffs is not a goal. It's not a save. It's a couple of nights ago. Charlie Coyle screwed up. I think he might have gone offside.
I saw McKinnon.
And this is what I want. This is what I want from my leaders. McKinnon lays into him. And you can see Coyle with the old, well, but and McKinnon clearly says, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Get your effing act together.
Mhm.
That's my favorite. That's
He
what
went on for a while too. At
I know he
Charlie.
did.
Like he went and
But didn't you
for
love
a
it?
while.
That, you know,
Yeah.
this is the playoffs. The time for having people to your house to celebrate holidays is over. I don't need you to be friends. I also don't need you to be a raging jackass. But what I need you to be is you need to hold your teammates accountable if you are wearing a letter or you're a veteran. I loved that. Because Coyle, that's exactly what Coyle deserves. I would have laid into Coyle every chance I got because he's a little, you know, he's the Southie. He's the guy, and he got away with crap here because he saw how the room worked. I loved what he did there, and Charlie deserved every bit, and I'm glad that it looked like McKinnon told him to shut up.
Well, I think we saw like an instance of that last night too, and I think it was Kirill and Zuccarello. Kirill was on the near side, like when you're watching on TV, and Zuccarello throws a pass, and he was off to the races if the pass is on his tape, but it's out of his reach. It goes for icing. And like the camera cut away like mid him doing this, but he kind of like slammed his stick along the boards and kind of like flailed his arms. Then it cut to Zuccarello and he's like, what? And you could tell they meet up and he's like, you got to throw that pass. You got to hit me with that pass. Like that is a game defining pass
Good.
right there.
Good.
And but I think that also like that's the relationship those two has, but that's exactly
They push
You're
each other
talking
to
about
be
what-
better, right? If
exactly.
I'm
That's
quiet,
what
McKinnon's doing. And granted, I think
Right.
Zuccarello is probably a better player than Coyle is, but at least the Wild are showing some of those types of actions, which I respect.
Absolutely, yeah. I just love it because Charlie's new there
Yes.
because he was acquired from the Bruins at the deadline, right?
Yeah.
McKinnon's not afraid. Like if you don't meet his standard, and by the way, the standard, you can't meet his play style. I get that, but his standard is the standard, and that's
Mhm.
what it should be.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you don't want to come to my Christmas dinner next year at my house, I don't really give a damn as long as we win a playoff game.
I bet you McKinnon has like 3 guys on the roster over for dinner. Nobody else is.
And they'll eat kale. Because McKinnon's a notorious, like, food, very
I thought
careful.
that was a play on McCarr somehow. I wasn't really sure.
No, that's terrible. No, I didn't mean that. No, you're right.
Cannibalism.
Jesse, you're right. No, they don't eat kale in the car. No, that's gross. Sorry about that. I just meant that they eat very healthy. But anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, I do like their chances, so I'm bioed by that, but I'm as I think Jesse and I and Age all feel the same, which is really? Like really? And also that's not Minnesota sports. Minnesota sports is bad luck. That loss was not bad luck.
It was a bad
No.
mistake.
Like
Bad
Gary Anderson missed a field goal. That's unfortunate, but he didn't do anything. It's not like the snap was dropped or something. Like this was a stupid play by a veteran player who can't in one of the most important times. I don't feel like that is our woe is me sportsdom.
No. Can we laugh about Toronto though? Like I take sick pleasure in the fact that Toronto cannot close out a series to
They're
save
sort of
their
the
life.
Vikings, right?
They're so.
I feel like they're sort of the
It's
Vikings.
so funny. They were rolling too. Like I was like, this is the year, man. Look at them. They're gonna go deep. You've got Marner chipping in, Austin. Oh my goodness, no. They're
Fans showing up to game 4 with
We're
balloons.
listening
like,
to
in the
Brady
opposing-
Kachuk. Come on now.
Yeah,
Tim
yeah.
Stützle said, "Not today. We're forcing game 6."
It's unbelievable though. They changed coaches, they changed GMs, they changed the players. They feel like the Vikings
Can't
because
change
they're
fate, baby.
Last thought. What's our thought on the Blues and Jets?
Connor Eliabuck, man. I don't know what. He's the opposite of Jordan Binnington, right? Bins will come in and all of a sudden be brilliant, and Connor Eliabuck can't figure it out. It was just it's sad. Like maybe you don't play the guy 60 plus games during the regular season. Like, is that the problem, do you think? Because this is 2 years in a row that Winnipeg is incredible because of Connor, and then they can't get it done. I love that series. It's very unhinged, right? Like it's a battle. I'm kind of into it. I like Winnipeg for their own right. I think their fan base is kind of cool, but I would not be surprised if St. Louis comes out, although they're scoring goals left and right. Yeah, I'd say probably St. Louis now at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, they're just rolling right now. And Hellbuck's his save percentage, like if you look at his career in the playoffs, progressively each year it gets worse and worse and worse. Like he just can't do it. I don't know. Like I think the narrative of like he's just not a postseason guy is probably true. If they get past the first round, whoever their matchup is in the second round out of that series, just usher them along. Have at it, because you're going to score 6 a night.
Side note, I just got an update from my Vegas counterpart who just wrapped up with Bruce Cassidy. Don't make me say his name.
Dorofeev.
Dorofeev.
Yeah.
Dora 5. They pronounce it 8 ways,
Yeah.
but he's a good
Dorofeev.
player. Yeah.
Day-to-day
Pavel.
with an undisclosed injury. as of
Okay.
right now.
Interesting. Well, that's a
the
big
only
loss.
change with their lineups. And yeah, so that's
That's a
little
big
note for you
loss.
guys.
Now, it does look like Eichel has reversed things a bit. Like he looked good last night.
Mhm.
Stone looked pretty good last night. I thought he's had a weird.
But we're only
series.
going to be quiet for so long, right? Like those,
Right.
you can't keep those guys shut down for that
They split
long.
him up.
I know
They split him up, didn't they? Didn't they?
That
And
top
then
line that they had looked unreal last night for Vegas.
that probably
Yes.
stays, right? Like
Yeah, because that's Carlson and Eichel, who are both centers, and Carlson I like a lot.
I do too. He makes good eye contact when you're chatting with him. Like he forced me to ask him a question because I was like, "Whoa, why are you?" Yeah,
He stared at you. That's
What color are his eyes?
It was they're blue. He's got the very. What is he? What's his nationality? It's one of
Is
those
he
Swedish.
Swedish?
Swedish? Yeah, Swedish. That makes
Swedish?
sense. But he had the long blonde hair, and I was like, I guess I have to ask you a question now. And he said it was a great question, unlike Matt Duchesne, who said,
What
my
was your question?
terrible. I don't even remember. I think maybe because it was game 3, so it was back-to-back games where they let Minnesota score immediately, and I was like, how are you going to slow that roll down a little bit?
He's from Sweden. He sort of looks like
Yes.
Granlund a
His
little
name's
bit.
Carlson. That should have been my first indication of
Picture.
where he's from.
He sort of looks like Gronlund a little bit.
Who's Finnish?
Speaking of questions, what's your number one question that you're hammering to John Hines, like to really grill him
Is Zebullium going back in the lineup? And I'm going to be told we
Thank
haven't
you.
made any final decisions
Yeah.
on the lineups yet. And then I need to know about Gus too. Is he still sick? That one he might be a little bit more forthcoming on.
Is it bad? I know, and not to differ from like your doubt, Judd, but is it bad to give him the benefit of the doubt given he's been a completely different guy this season? He feels so much more committed. And I know during the Four Nations, my understanding was like most of Team Sweden had like some sort of flu thing going around. So
Yeah,
I
I
give him a
did hear
pass
that.
there. And like if he like last night has like his stomach's turning and he just like, if he goes out to do the butterfly and something's going to slip out, I don't, you know,
Yeah, if
who
it's
knows what's going
diarrhea,
on?
he can come out. If he's
Sorry,
throwing
I didn't
up
want
and
to
it's
say it,
not-
but-
and it's not diarrhea, I'd prefer you stay in.
Do you give
But,
him
like,
a
flush
delay of
yourself
game though
out.
to clean the ice if he pukes everywhere? Like
I
if they're
would-
going to penalize him?
I would tell him puke into the goal cage.
Like,
'Cause
but his
that's
mask,
not-
it's going to get all in his mask.
Just lift it up and puke.
God.
Just lift.
And if I'm saying if he was feeling sick for those 2 periods, he was incredible.
He was great.
Like,
Oh,
that's
he's been-
tremendous. Like that game
Oh,
would have
yeah.
been 4-1 if it weren't for Philip Gustafson. through those first
100%. Well,
periods.
I would make the case. I think the series he's been good, and I think the last 2 games that they've lost, he's been great.
Yeah.
Like I don't
And
pin any of this on Gus, and quite frankly, I don't blame this on Fleury. That goal was not a softie.
No. And I think
So
the
I don't blame
difference
goaltending.
about Gus too, to your point, AJ, last year it felt like he could not shake off those soft goals or the ones that he wants back. This year he 100% is, because you look at game 3 and game 4, you're like, oh, that's a terrible goal, but he dials right back in and goes 0-0. And I think that's the biggest difference. You did not see that last year. Last year he got very defeated, very defensive too in a sense. And this year he kind of came back and he's back to his very even keeled, cool as a cucumber, Philip Gustafson.
There was not a bad goal last night, correct?
Not from
The
his
shorty's not his
perspective.
fault.
The
No.
shorty's not his fault. No,
And that's a
that
bad goal.
was-
No.
That-
And then
that's
the
not
other
Gus.
one was he had William Karlsson's butt right in his face because Brock Faber couldn't box him out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, let's get to that quickly. That was a terrible challenge. What are you doing, John?
Look at us. We're just finding all these other things. Like,
What do you do?
speaking of-
What do you do? Why are you challenging that? That
That was awful.
I don't know.
It looked like he didn't. It looked like the type of challenge where you don't listen to your video guys, because the Wild video guys are really good.
Jonas Plum he was undefeated
Right.
for quite
But I
some
mean,
time.
It felt like a snap reaction. It felt like a basketball one where a player will get fouled or be called for one, and he'll do the replay it. It's like, no, shut up. I'm not going to replay it. That challenge shocked me. That's one of their worst challenges of the season. I think they had one in Detroit that was really weird too. It's like, that's not going to get called back. Anyway.
Challenge.
And it was
outside, next time, maybe
uncharacteristic
it'll
because
yield
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
like their video coaches and like the people who review that have been
No,
really
that's
good
what-
about
yeah,
it all season
Plum.
long. Yeah, Plum.
It's been really, really good. So
I don't know if the screen had a smudge on it or what last night, but that was just a terrible.
I wonder
challenge.
if he looked at. I wonder if Hines picked up the iPad or somebody picked up the iPad on the bench and reacted to it, because like there was. I'm hard pressed to believe that Jonas Plum triggered that challenge.
Yeah.
Total
It felt
guess.
quick too, because usually it feels
Yeah.
like they have at least a camera cut to the bench, and it's like, do we, should we? I don't know, maybe. Okay, yeah, let's challenge it. It was like, okay, blah blah blah. Before they could even get to that, it was, yep, Minnesota's challenged the play for goalie interference, and it just was not even close.
Nope. All right, we're done. Hopefully the Wild can make this thing go 7. 6:30 tomorrow night. A face-off that, by the way, will be on time because there's no game before it. So when they say the face-off time, they're not lying this time. And Age and I will be back for Event Line immediately after the game. Jessi, we'll talk to you next week. And meanwhile, I'll catch her, of course, on the Bardown Beauties, which is another outstanding show. Cool Mike flag that your husband got for you. That's a lot of love right there.
Yeah.
We will talk to you later.